Hello, my name is Katie Groves, and this is part 11 in my series on deprogramming from trauma-based mind control. In this video, I'm going to talk about mindful breathing. But before then, I ask that if you haven't done so already, please watch the first 2 videos in this series in the description below for disclaimers and safety measures you can take while watching these videos. So, what is mindful breathing? Mindful breathing is simply being aware of the breath. That's it. Oftentimes people think that breathing exercises are all about controlling the breath, and while that can be very useful as a tool in healing from dissociation and trauma, as well as mind control, I found that the first step in engaging with any kind of breathing exercise is to simply become aware of it. Become aware of how I'm breathing, and not just how I'm breathing as a result of my programming, which keeps my breath very controlled, but how I would breathe without the programming. And so I found that making contact with the dissociative parts that controlled my breath and working with them with compassion to undo the programming and enable me to experience with them in co-consciousness what the breath would look like without the programming. It's been very, very helpful. Right now, if I do this, I'm going to breathe very shallowly, or very sharply, more accurately, because I'm anxious making this video. Talking about breathing is very triggering for me. I'm still frightened of the breath. My programming cut very deep, and breathing is one of the basic ways in which slaves are manipulated. Slaves are controlled. It's through the breath. Breathing in itself is a positive thing, but of course it can be manipulated by programmers to become a weapon against the body and mind in the slave. And for me, I discovered when I was healing that my breath was very shallow, that it was designed to be quiet so that no one could hear me during some of my worst jobs as a slave, where silence was imperative. And I discovered that I also had programs that would enable me to breathe in extreme superhuman ways, extremely slowly or extremely quickly, or hold my breath at all, completely, not breathe at all, and that even when those systems weren't active, there were systems active that kept us always poised and ready to commit these superhuman acts of breath control. And that those programs that kept us poised were also debilitating and were locked in with the programs that kept our breathing so shallow in the day-to-day. So in order to deprogram my normal breathing, quote unquote, I had to deprogram some of my deeper programs around the breath. And what enabled my programmers to control my breath in the first place was my dissociation from my breath, my rejection of the parts of me that breathed. And so I'm going to get a little graphic here, but I was repeatedly strangled, sensory deprived, put on drugs that made it incredibly hard to breathe, put in gas chambers, things like that. Things that would make breathing not only painful or impossible, but would reinforce, coupled with verbal abuse, the message that I was not allowed to breathe, did not deserve to breathe. I was even taught through programming that every time I took a breath, a child died. Every breath I would take, a child in front of me. It's horrible, horrible things. I don't need to go further than that at this moment. So I became dissociated, created dissociative parts to hold the awareness of breath because breathing was so traumatic. So I've had to heal that trauma also. And ultimately, I'm still struggling with all of this stuff. But I have found that I now know that I deserve oxygen. I've even had to deprogram parts of me that believed we were robots or animals of certain kinds that don't need oxygen. So I've had to, not convince, but awaken parts of me to the reality that we are a human being and that we need to breathe, that we need oxygen to live. Not all of me knew this. So bringing parts into awareness of the necessity of breath and becoming aware of the sacredness of the breath. I don't just shallowly pay attention, with my mind. I've learned to pay attention to the breath with my spirit and really drink in the feeling of air. I've also found it very helpful to go to places where there is cleaner air. I had the benefit of relocating from a polluted city to a beautiful town in the mountains when I first began my deprogramming. And one of the first things I noticed was the air quality was so much better than where I was from. And so definitely being able to go to a natural sanctuary where I can breathe clean air has been helpful because I have to make the experience of breathing less traumatic. Like I said, it was making breathing traumatic that enabled my programmers to dissociate me from my breath and then control it. So to regain control, I have to engage with these very traumatized parts that are very afraid of the breath and help them to see that it is okay and safe to breathe now. So I've used affirmations. I deserve to breathe. I deserve air. This air is healing. I drink in the healing properties of the air and exhale the negativity within me, engaging with the energy of the air I breathe. Choosing to not just breathe any air, but setting my intention to breathe in the love that is all around us and to expel negative energy out of my body through exhalation. Breathing in light, breathing out trauma, those kinds of things have been helpful. So I've gotten creative and I don't just count my breath, but I really engage with it and I really work with myself and I work to not overwhelm myself. I can only do this for a short period of time. Some people practice mindfulness for hours a day. I can't do that on a consistent basis, but I do constantly as I switch dissociative parts. I constantly, seek to increase my co-consciousness with whatever part I'm in and engage that part of me in mindfulness if they're not already doing so. And so the breath has been a great tool because every part of me, to my knowledge, breathes. Not every part of me can see our external reality. Not every part of me can think thoughts. But every part of me can breathe. And so connecting my parts to the breath and showing them that it is safe to breathe, that we deserve to breathe, and that it is okay to observe our breath without trying to control it, but also to deepen and lengthen our breath, lengthen our exhalations as compared to our inhalations. That has been very helpful. Okay, that's what I got for this video. In my next video, I will talk about another mindfulness tool. I'm not sure what yet. So far, I don't know if anyone is watching these videos, except for the couple people in my life that I've shown. But I hope that as I explore more of YouTube and reach out to people, people do watch these because I really, really want to help the mind control survivor who's still suffering. And so yeah, that was a little off topic, but I just wanted to say that. And if you are watching this, thank you. It is my honor to share what I have to give with you.